Hey, Kerri, how are you?
I am good. How are you?
I'm good. Welcome to the Retail Whore podcast. I just finished your podcast, which I feel like I know you so well now. It's like we
I
might as well
know.
just have kept on going.
Totally agree. Long time no see.
I met you. Backstory is I met you at the Ultimate Product Party that I told people about that we were doing. And, it was such an amazing experience. And it exposed me to so many different amazing women that do these amazing things that help other women and they don't have to be just women, but it was amazing to be exposed to all of that. And I was so fired up after I heard you talk that I think I totally accosted you as you got off the stage. It's like, please come on my podcast. So here you are.
Yay. No, I loved it. It was very cute. But yeah, I'm really happy to be here. So, and yes, the UPP event was so inspirational. I've never left an event feeling motivated and also inspired equally at the same amount of time. It was truly amazing.
I mean, I've never been to one of those events, and my husband's gone to like a Tim Ferriss one, and I think a Brennan Burchard event, and
Oh, okay.
he's talked about like the energy and like how much there's, and it's just like you're
Yeah.
flooded with all this information, and you get back and you're like, oh my God, like what do I do with all this? And I've never experienced that, and it was what I loved is that they really broke it down, and the round tables all gave you actionable things to do, so it wasn't so much like I've been crammed with all this information, like what the hell do I do with it all?
Yeah, I agree with you. And I really liked how they made sure all the speakers were like super involved and very accessible. I thought that was really nice because I think you go to those big events and you can see someone speak, but then you're like, okay, but I have a question or like I just want to talk to you for like 1 minute and like they make themselves very inaccessible. And
Yeah.
I think that's what they did at UPP really well was like everyone was there just to help and support each other. And you really felt that energy when you were there. So I thought that was good.
It was so good. And like I said, what you teach people in your courses and what you talk about, I think is so relevant to our listeners who are not literally 90% retailers. Some are
Mhm.
e-commerce, some are hustlers that are just building their brand. But I feel like so much of what I learned is like listening to you and other people speaking. It's like I really want our listeners to hear. So I
Mhm.
want to dive in and I want you to tell people what your brand is and what you do, and tell us a little bit else about your podcast.
Sure. So my name is Carrie, and thank you so much for having me on here. I'm excited. I teach e-commerce brands, so female e-commerce business owners, mostly new, early stage, struggling, how to grow their business through organic marketing. So when I say grow, I mean get more traffic, get more sales, and just be more confident about your business. And that's all through organic marketing without using advertising. And then, yeah, so I work with a lot of different apparel companies and pet brands and lots of different types of industries. And I love working with everyone. And my podcast, I have a podcast called the Six Figure Product Business Podcast. And that is very much geared towards anyone that really sells physical products. So it's actually pretty helpful for retailers as well. And we really cover a lot of different topics, but mainly in marketing. So, what I teach people is like how to get your brand more visible to the right buyer. And that's what we talk about in the podcast. So, pretty much everything from email marketing, affiliate marketing, how to get better packaging, how do you create a website that gets people to want to buy and click. And one of my other focuses is sort of how to get customers I'm sorry, how to create a brand, not a business. And so when I say that, it is how do you get people to buy from you and let's say not from Amazon or a competitor. So those are a little bit things that we talk about on the podcast and that I teach, and I'm very passionate about those topics.
And you also, and I know it's not your focus anymore, and I think you said the class is still floating out there somewhere, is marketing through Pinterest, which
Hmm.
I think it's grown and changed so much, but I mean, I hadn't
Yeah.
really put that. I use it solely for, and it's bad because it's literally solely for researching and creating boards for my clients so I can figure out some creative ways to do things, and of course, food and whatnot. But I just now am starting to utilize it for marketing for MC Design, which, I'm starting way behind the gate and all the rules have changed. So before we talk about the rest of it, will you give a little
Yeah.
bit of blurb about marketing through Pinterest?
Yeah, absolutely. And I love Pinterest. Like when I first launched my business 2 years ago, so I had a e-commerce business and then I did that for 3 years. I sold it in 2019. And then I sort of did some consulting and tried to figure out like, okay, what are my next steps? And I knew I wanted to create courses to help people start their business and grow their business. Cause a lot of people, they have an idea for a product and they don't really know how to take that idea and like turn into an online store. So I help people do that as well. And I love helping people get started. But my first course I created was a Pinterest course. And so I'm very proud of that little course because it was kind of like my first little thing out into the world. When I launched my new business, I was like, I don't know what direction to go in. I teach all kinds of different marketing, but Pinterest is very misunderstood and it's still very underutilized. And so yeah, Pinterest is, so I do have my little course. It's still like, I can give you the link if you'd like. And it's
Yeah.
very cheap. I think it's like $50. So it's pretty cheap, but it'll still give people like a really good foundational understanding of Pinterest. And that Pinterest is a search engine. It is not social media, even though it's considered a social channel, it's actually a search engine. And why that's important for your audience to know. And again, I can kind of go down like a Pinterest rabbit hole here, is that
Do
with a
it.
search engine, like you want to be on, you want your content, your website, your blog posts to show up on a search engine because one, your stuff will keep getting pushed out to people. So Instagram, you spend an hour making a graphic, that thing dies after a few days. Like people don't really see it after that. Whereas if you're on Pinterest, you create a blog post or you create like a little image of, let's say, a picture of like one of your visual displays in one of your stores, and it looks really, really beautiful. You create a little image of that and put it as a pin. You have the right title, the right keywords, that pin will keep getting pushed out to people as they search for something. So that's the power of Pinterest, is that it's a search engine. And so what you create today will be seen tomorrow, next year, 2 years. I literally have like, not to be too technical here, but like one of my clients that I actually started their Pinterest account for them 3 years ago. They sell dog toys. So we created a blog post about like something about Christmas and dog toys. And the first year we made it, it didn't really do very well. Then the next year, all of a sudden they were getting like 10,000 website viewers to
Wow.
this one blog post from a pin that they made a year ago. And then
Wow.
last Christmas, they got 500,000
Holy shit.
not 500,000 website visitors, but they got like I'm sorry, they got sorry, I'm getting my numbers mixed up. They got 1.5 million views on Pinterest from like 3 pins that they made 3 years ago.
Wow.
So like when I try to explain to people the power of organic marketing and why you want to sort of spend your time on the places that will show up over time and not just put all of your eggs into the Instagram basket, which I know a lot of us end up doing because Instagram is sort of easy and accessible. So that's kind of the power of Pinterest, is like what you do today will help you not tomorrow, but like 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, and it will continue to drive traffic. I've never seen anything quite like Pinterest. It's pretty crazy.
And now they're
Um,
live. Now they've incorporated video. Now video is
yeah.
super important there.
Yeah. So video is really important. But the good thing here is that if you're already, because I know a lot of people spend a lot of time making reels, TikTok videos, everything that you make on these platforms, you can repurpose. So if you're doing a reel or a TikTok video about like one of your stores, or this, like, here's how you can merchandise this outfit or something, you put the shirt with the earrings, da, 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 da. Like you take that one video and you put that into Pinterest as a video pin or an idea pin. And if you're not sure what that means, you can like literally go to Pinterest and start clicking around a little bit on the pins, like how to create a pin, and it will show you like idea pin, video pin. And a pin just means a post. Like you can kind of think of it as like an Instagram post. You can repurpose everything that you're already doing. So you don't have to like recreate the wheel with Pinterest. Everything is repurposable. And the best part of Pinterest too is the size. So the size of a Pinterest like pin is that 2x3. So it's like pretty much the same size as Instagram reel or a TikTok video. So it seamlessly can be repurposed, if that makes sense.
That's that's probably the biggest takeaway I had from UPP was the repurposing, because
Yes.
so
Oh my gosh. Yes.
I was stuck in the head of it always has to be something different on every platform. And as I've listened to, it's like no one is going on every single one of those platforms. And it's
Yeah.
like that one piece of content just push out to all these. So guess what my virtual assistant's doing is like repurposing literally all of this content. And so
Yeah.
now I'm gonna ask you, since we're in the process of it, is purpose and posting blog post onto your Pinterest. You just pin it
Mhm.
as a pin, the post,
So
or is it, how does that work?
you create a pin. So like a graphic or an image you can take from a blog post. So say you did like, give me like an example of a blog post and then I can kind of talk through that example.
So my blog posts are more, I've had to separate. We do a newsletter for people that have signed up on MC Design Collaboration. So we have
Okay.
a newsletter, which it is free content, but it's not something I spread across the earth. So that is, I'm considering more informational. And the blog is more like a behind the scenes diary of this is what's going on. So,
Okay.
one post was super vulnerable about like my age and what we talked about, going out of my comfort zone and
Okay.
everything we're doing. So that's now what I'm like, I wonder
Hmm.
how how that's relevant to Pinterest.
Oh yeah, totally. So yeah, what you want to do is you want to either create a graphic. So if you go into Canva, like it's a free tool, it's the best damn thing that could ever happen to an
Yep.
online business owner. Because we talked about how we're both. Did we talk about that? I talked about with someone today that we're not good at like designing, graphic design, and I think it was my first podcast recording this morning.
All blended.
Yeah, and so Canva, you can literally go in there and create a Pinterest pin, and it can be a video pin, it could be a graphic, and you could say like three things that, whatever, like an interesting snippet about your blog post. And it has to be Pinterest. Everything is searchable, so Pinterest can read the titles of the title of your image. So if you save your graphic and upload it to Pinterest, Pinterest can read the title and it can also read what you have on the actual graphic. It's pretty incredible. So if
Wow.
your graphic says like 5 ways, I'm really bad at like off the cuff like examples, but like 5 ways my age has impacted my online business or something like that. I don't know, whatever it might be. Pinterest can read that. And then again, when someone goes to search for something, it like matches what you have to what they're searching for. Kind of in a nutshell.
I'm
So
old.
kind of, I mean, I feel like my example that I just said is not very good, but you know what I
No,
mean? Like
yeah.
it's searchable. So like 5 tips to grow your online business store, 5 ways to get people in the doors of your retail shop, like 3 ways to market your
So it should be an image
e-commerce.
with the
Yeah.
overlay graphic.
Yep. So you
Okay.
can with Pinterest, you got to test different things. And like I said, video is more effective now. So like the old ways of, on Instagram uploading static images that don't really work anymore. It's the same with Pinterest. Like videos are better, but you can literally go to Canva, plug in an image and save it as a video and it tells Pinterest it's a video. So
Wow.
there's sneaky ways around it. So the Canva is a great tool for that. But yeah, Pinterest works better for visual images. Like if you're wanting people to come into your store, for example, if you're trying to drive traffic to your online I know most of your
Well,
people are
both. I think
retail.
a lot
Yeah.
of retailers have online. I mean, I
Okay.
think especially after the pandemic, you better have
Okay.
online presence.
Yeah. So it might be something like, say you're in a part, you focus a lot on like specific type of clothing. Let's say you sell like you're really famous and you do like cowboy boots and like those jackets with like the frilly things on them. I don't even know why I'm thinking of that. Then you would maybe create some kind of graphic that says like, how to style your cowboy boots in the spring or how to style your cowboy jacket in the fall. Something like that. Like it's very specific and you have a blog post about that. And so you create a little graphic in Canva and then you upload into Pinterest and then you link that to your blog post or you link it to your product that you sell on your online store. So it's sort of, you can do any of those things, but it's better that you create a proper image or a graphic with overlay text. And then you're telling Pinterest like exactly what it is. And then when you do the pin, like you have a little, it's kind of like Instagram, you have your little caption, You have your call to action, like shop now, learn more, buy my cowboy boots, and you add a link. So everything is linkable. So you link that back to your blog post, your website, your product pages, and obviously just like anything else, the more specific you are, like if you're trying to sell cowboy boots, for example, send people to your blog post where you talk about how to style cowboy boots in 4 different seasons, or send people to your product that like the actual product. So like those cowboy boots in your picture. And with Pinterest too, you can link that to your shop. It's a Shopify sales channel. So you can actually connect Pinterest to your Shopify store if you're a lot of your audience have Shopify. Um, and so you can actually link your catalog. And so you can actually tag your products in a Pinterest pin, just like you can on Instagram.
Okay.
So
I
now everything is
know everyone's going to
shoppable.
want this class. So tell people now. We'll have the link in the notes, but I can already tell you that everyone is going to be asking me where this class is.
I
So,
love it.
so give that information right now just to get it out of the way. And we'll have the information in the notes.
So the link is kind of like, so I have a course platform and I'll have to find the link because it's kind of like a clunky link. And the class name is really bad. It's called Pinterest for Business 101. I mean, this is a really bad title. Okay. For my defending myself, this was when I first launched my business and I just wanted to get started, but it's a really terrible name. But I'll give you the link for it and you can add it to your show notes. But yeah, it's Pinterest for Business. And then you could just put my name and you'll find it. But yeah, it's a good little, it's a good like deep dive.
For $50, honestly, that's
Yeah.
the class. It's like, that is so
Yeah.
worth it for, especially for
Yeah.
you're a brand new beginner and you're trying to figure out how to navigate through Pinterest.
Yeah.
That is probably the best way to do it, is one of these classes. So I'm just going to get that out of the way right now.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. It's like, I'm very proud of it because it was like my first thing that I ever did. And it took me so long to make. And now I'm like, oh, of course, like whatever. I can do that in a week, whatever, no big deal. But like, I had such like perfectionism syndrome when I was making it. I was like, everything has to be perfect. But
Which I hear
yeah.
now from so many people. Like when I interviewed Kat from Kitty Meow,
Oh,
and
I love her.
Kat and I had a conversation off, and I was telling her about the platform we're building. She's like, just do it, just get it out
Yeah.
there. Like, don't
Yeah.
stop worrying about it being perfect and this and that. Like, just get it the fuck out there. So
I love
that's
it.
what I did, which is why
It's
now all of a
so
sudden I'm
funny.
in reality of like, oh, that's not going to be that easy, just getting it out there. There's a little more to it.
Yeah. I think the framework is good of like just do it. And I'm all about that now, but that also isn't something that I think develops overnight. I think it's letting go of things being perfect that you're putting out into the world. I think is like it's almost like you're retraining your brain to think differently. Because
Yeah.
it's taken me 6 years to not think things have to be perfect. Only now I'm like, oh yeah, I look like shit on this video. I'm still gonna post it. I don't care, you know?
Okay, that takes me to my next thing. I think that everybody gets hung up with because if you look at the younger generation that is seriously driving their businesses and just throwing shit out on video, it's like yes, there's the perfect ones that have the perfect skin and the perfect makeup, perfect house, the perfect kids.
Mhm.
But by far and large, there's an old lady that has, okay, I hate saying they're old, but they're older than me. They have this amazing resale boutique that she sells like
Oh.
vintage Fendi and vintage Gucci, but they do this live show and it is
Mhm.
such a shit show. It's fucking amazing. I mean, I was watching them yesterday because Elisa will send me links and it's like they were live and they were selling something and one person's up there showing it and the other lady's all, oh my God, I've lost the notes. Hang on one second. She's all you can hear is her in the background and the other lady's standing there holding it like, look at the pockets. I mean, I was dying, but I think that it's like the idea of like, it doesn't need to be perfect because they have
Mhm.
thousands of people that follow them and are buying vintage Gucci and Fendi and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But I think all of us get hung up and it needs to be, I need to look perfect. And believe me, I gave up that a while ago. I'm like, it is what it
Yep.
is. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't like that I'm in with this behind me, but not forever. I'm gonna have a step and repeat behind me soon, but it's the
I have a beautiful brown door in the background. So I think, that looks beautiful.
but I think that everyone waits till it's going to be perfect, or they're going to look perfect. And I think that is a huge thing that holds a lot of people back. That and the fear of trying something new.
Totally. Yeah.
I think a lot of retailers are in their own world and they're so caught up with their day to day of dealing with merchandising and unpacking, and then they have the shows and then data entry and the receiving. Is I think it's really hard for them to get out and think like, now I'm supposed to be creative and think about how I'm supposed to go show up on stories or whatever. But I think that it's just the advice of just do it is, but I think your tool, so tell people about the other tools that you've created for creating online sales and creating a genuine following. And
Do you mean like courses or
you've created a couple courses. You said you
yeah.
launched one, but it's all about creating genuine traffic.
Yes. Yeah. So I have a few things I do. So right now I actually just launched my new membership program and I'm like all lit up about having community and all that kind of stuff. Thank you. Like thanks to UPP. That was totally like the push that I needed. And it's called E-commerce Society. And that's a tool where we're going to be doing like live Q&As each month and like live trainings, bringing on e-commerce industry experts to teach people. So I have that. And then I have a course called the E-commerce Sales Academy. And that's kind of like what I coin your product business MBA without the $200,000 price tag, because it is like the full burrito. I don't even know. That's a weird expression. It just gives you everything. So from like, if you're newly launched, like here's the foundational things that you need to be looking at, like nailing your ideal customer, nailing your messaging, your product positioning, how to create a brand, not a business, those kind of things. And then we just sort of work our way up through like the breakdown of email marketing and how you can make so much money with automations and not having to like show up on social media every day because your email list is growing and you're making money through these automated emails that you've crafted that work really well. And then we dive into like SEO and how to create a website that converts into sales, which is like one of my most favorite things in the whole world to talk about and teach people. Because if you have an online store, your website is your bread and butter. I mean, it's not working for you, you're not going to get sales. So you're spending all day on Instagram and sending all these emails to people. But if your website isn't converting into traffic, you're just wasting your time. So I'm very passionate about teaching people that. And then we just have lots of things on like social media and, you know, other ways of driving traffic like affiliate marketing and creating content through blogging and YouTube. So, and then I dive into like my next thing, which is customer loyalty, which is like my other great love in the e-commerce space is how do you get customers, but how do you turn those customers into your raving fans? And I attribute the number one way that I grew my e-commerce business to multi six figures in 2 years without ads was I treated my customers like gold. And I figured out a way that once they really love my brand, they're going to go and promote me to friends, family, their followers on social media. And it's just this whole little like thing that I'm very passionate about a lot of things, but that's one thing I'm passionate about because I think it's not talked about a lot in this space. We think about is like we need to get new people, new customers, but once we have customers, how do we get them to come back to us over and over? And I think that's very relevant to the retail space because obviously you want your people that come to your store to come back, every week or every 2 weeks or every month or whatever. So yeah, that's what I teach people. I teach people a lot of different things. It's kind of like everything I have learned over the years of marketing. I've been doing marketing for a long time, but yeah, I don't know if that answered your question, but that's
Yeah,
kind
no,
of what I
now
teach.
I have like a whole host of other questions, but one thing, okay, so you go through and one of the things you do is audit people's websites. And we talked about this. You asked me if I've ever made somebody cry because how blunt I am with like the plastic risers. Like and like you said, a lot of people have created their own website and they're very close to it. And then you go in and you are telling them not as like, oh, I think this will look better, but you're giving them like advice that is
strategy.
going to work for them, and it may
Mhm.
not be the what you want to hear. What are the
Yeah.
top 3 things that you see as far as mistakes that people are making with their websites?
Okay. The top three.
And
Number
this is e-commerce
one.
website.
Yeah. Number one, they're not clear on who they are selling to. So you
Like, what do
go on
you
their
mean?
website. So like the messaging and the copy is just, it's not clear. It's like super vanilla. It's kind of like, if you say to someone, I sell clothes, that's not specific. But if you say, I sell cowboy boots and cowboy jackets
You're really on that.
to like ladies in their 20s to 40s who live in Nashville, Tennessee. Like, see how specific that is?
Mm.
That's how your website should be. It should be idiot proof as to who you sell. I'm sorry, what you sell and who it's for. So the biggest mistake is you land on someone's website and it's just like candles and you have no idea what I mean, yes, if it's a candle, you know what they sell, but like they're not focusing on the key selling points of their product. They're not focusing on who it's for and why someone should buy it. So I think that's the number one mistake that people make is like their language is very vanilla and wishy-washy. It's not clear what you sell and who it's for. And people don't focus on selling points. They focus on features. So like the candle is, 8 ounces. No one cares about that. They care about the fact that your candle isn't filled with toxins and that if it's going into your house, like it's going to cause an illness or something. Like people care about the scent and the storytelling. If you buy my candle, this scent is, I don't know, Pebble Beach, and it'll take you back to that time that you spent the weekend in Florida sipping margaritas or you know what I mean? Like you have to use storytelling to show people what it's like to use your product. And so I see a lot of websites and like I said, the messaging is just not quite good. It's like they don't know who they're selling to. And when you don't know who you're selling to, everything that you do is like, I keep using the word vanilla, but it's a good word because that's what happens. It's not specific. So you go to one website and it's like, again, we sell clothes, like who is it for, what kind of clothes, what activities would you be doing in the clothes, or like we sell handmade vegan leather skirts for rodeos. I don't know why I'm on this like
You
weird,
really are.
it's so weird. I don't even know why I keep
Watching
talking about this.
Yellowstone.
I loved it. Oh my gosh. Okay, so that's mistake number one. So I'm just going to group all that into one mistake because that's like 90% of the websites that I see from students, from clients, and just from me being a consumer, because I very much study like the art of website design and how it's structured and language and all that. So the second mistake I see, and this is a really big one, is poor product photography. And
Mhm.
when I say product photography, I am lumping in like images of product plus lifestyle images. So I really like to teach people that on your website and everything else that you do, social media, Pinterest, whatever, you need to have photos of people. If your product is for people, having photos of people either wearing or using your product in real life. So what I see on most websites is that you have like the boring white background. You
Mhm.
have like, and I did a video about this yesterday. I literally said like, here's the number one tip on how to sell your product. And I pulled up this with a nice coffee and I said, this right here is an experience. Like you're showing someone what it looks like to use your product. And then I held up a can it was cold brew in a can. And I held it up and I said, this is a product. Like this one will sell because you're showing someone what it looks like. You're showing someone like how to drink it. And then one is the actual product. Like no one cares about the product. They care about how
The
to use
experience.
it.
So
Yes,
like
with
for
the
an example,
transformation.
an
Mhm,
example, you're selling the cold brew and you're pouring it into
mhm.
this super cute cup and you're pouring it in, you're adding ice,
Yes.
you're adding vanilla and foam and you're drinking and you go outside and you're
Yep.
outside with your dogs. Like it's the whole lifestyle.
Yes.
And that can of coffee that you showed already is
Mhm.
now gone and you're on with your life and this beautiful cup of coffee out in your backyard.
Exactly. So like when you have your website, you have to take the experience of like, what is it like to use your product in real life and show people what that looks like. So I think coffee is like an interesting example, but clothing, for example, is a really easy one. if you have a website that you're selling clothing on, you need to have pictures of people not only wearing your clothes, but like in specific situations. And I'm trying to think of this website that does a fantastic job, and I'm blanking on the name. They're based in LA. It's like definitely like a very expensive brand. I can't think of the name. But like, okay, another example, Claire V. So she makes the beautiful handbags.
Mhm.
Um, she does a fantastic job of, they do different photo shoots in different locations. And so it's not just like someone sitting in a room with the bag. They'll show them like out on a boat with the bag in a whole like scene. There's another brand called Andy. I'm not sure if you know Andy. They make scrunchies. Oh my gosh, they are like the queens of lifestyle photo shoots. They will have, scrunchies, and then they're out on a picnic and they have like the scrunchies scattered around in people's hair, on their wrist. But then the whole scene is like them at a picnic with like these beautiful, baskets and wine and charcuterie boards. They're creating an experience. And like when you see that, you're gonna be like, oh, I want to be there, but I also want a scrunchie now. Versus like you just have a scrunchie on a white background. Like that's not gonna sell something. And so I like drill into my students' brains. You have to you have to have lifestyle photos, people using the product, showing how your product works, the transformation, that kind of thing. But photo shoots like with people in fun locations, I think are the best way.
So and I know I can already hear retailers right now. I don't have the time. So you deal with people who are creating products that are selling them at wholesale or consumer to business to consumer.
Yeah, anything. I mean, a lot of students in my programs, they make their own products, they buy them from other people, they, source them, like they'll buy scrunchies from someone else and then resell them. So kind of all of the above.
So for retailers that are going to say, well, I don't have time and what would your suggestion be for the person that's like, I'm in my store all day, I have stuff, I have a website. The best I can do is take a picture on a white background or use the vendor's stock photo for this. What is your advice?
Yeah. So I think like a few things, because I know a lot of shops that I go to in my town and when I lived in Seattle, they have both physical retail stores and they have websites. It's definitely manageable. I think it takes a little bit of work. But I would say like if you're a boutique and you do a lot of, let's say like home decor and like things that people would come in and buy for gifts, you don't have to do a new photo shoot for every product. You want to sort of take like the theme of your brand or your store and sort of capture that on your website. So again, if you sell like a lot of let's say like it's like a party store. I'm not sure if a lot of your clients have party stores, but I personally love like
Couple of
those really boutique party stores, and you sell gifts for people's parties. Well, you could one work with a photographer and they would have a simple setup in a studio with like a couple like fun colored background walls, and just have like a couple scenes where people are at like a dinner, let's say like a dinner party. We have a table, we have drinks, we have plates, we have some food, we have whatever products you sell sprinkled in there. And you could kind of do something like that where you have a couple scenes like that where you're showing your product, but you're showing the experience of what your product is. Like if you have a party store, you're going to be selling people to use at parties. If you sell candles and books and things for gifts, like where do your people like what kind of activities are they doing that they would be giving the gifts for? So you kind of want to create those types of things, which can be done really like one time per year. You could work with a photographer that has a studio and do a couple like little different scenes, and then that could be like the bulk of your website photos and for social media, honestly. And that could be sprinkled on your website, and then you can in between that, if you have new products, the white backgrounds are fine. You don't need the fancy photos for everything. But the most important thing on a website is like you have some sort of like a theme. And when someone lands on the website, they kind of know, okay, this is a store that I would get a gift for someone, or like this is a party store, or like this is a Southwestern clothing boutique store. Like someone should get that vibe when they go to your website every single time. And if they're not, they're probably not going to stay on your website.
I,
So
I think it's the same thing as, as a retailer with a brick and mortar of, your windows and your opening statement are the two most important things because your
Mhm.
customers your regular customers, much like your online presence, your regular customers, I'm sure coming to you all the time, will walk by, they look in the window, it hasn't changed. They look in the door, the front entry tabletop that you did is still the same stuff. It's some stuff's been like put it back in there to fill it up, but really the
Yeah.
display more or less the same. They're going to keep going. And it's like you need, we're all visual. Like I think that you as a consumer, like you're looking at something, it's like, oh my gosh, that looks so good. I want it. Like I want to go in. Like what is going on in that store? Like that
Yeah.
whole thing is equally as important, I think, is when it gets down to your website that needs to feel like knowing who your customer is and
Yeah.
what that customer is doing and what she lives and what she's wearing. And so I think that I love that you teach this and you like explain it so well that it's very understandable to everybody. And I think that there's most people, especially after the pandemic, that didn't have a website, that did manage to get it up and running. It was kind of that panic thing, and it was just get it out there. And now that it's out there, now it's like, if it's feeling like that white stock
Yeah.
photo, now is your opportunity to go back through and really look at it and create like who your customer is, what does she do, where does she live, how is she using these products. I think this is like, it's been it's a year and a half, like, okay, dive back in and really take a look at what your website looks like. What is number 3?
And I just want to give one more quick tip because I know product photography is a very sticky and sore subject for people. There's something called replica services, and this doesn't work if you sell like large items, but if you sell like candles, books, accessories, hats, belts, scrunchies, like smaller things, replica services is an amazing tool. So it's basically like you get these two boards, and I don't know it's some kind of like maybe acrylic or something. I don't know something, and it looks like a really beautiful, like a backdrop of like subway tile or slate or something really nice, and you get two different backgrounds and they clip together. You can pop your product in there and take your own photos literally with your iPhone, and though that gives your plain photos a beautiful background, and it makes a huge difference when you're adding those to your website. So I just wanted to make sure I gave like an easy, tangible tip because I know it's not always feasible for people to like do photo shoots, but you can really utilize your customers too and get some photos from them if you find someone who like is an influencer or one of your customers who tags you and you're like, wow, that photo is beautiful. Like maybe they have more of those. So, and replica services is fairly affordable and it's like phenomenal. It'll change your entire images. So
Another way of doing it too is buying either bulletin boards or like the foam core.
yep.
And there's the Home Depot, they sell sheets of, and you buy one big one, you cut it down, but sheets of really thin plywood that have, one looks like birch wood, one looks like reclaimed wood, one looks
Oh,
like
cute. Yeah.
brick. So there
Love it.
if you don't have that resource, there's another easy, inexpensive, but I think it really gets down to like finding interesting backdrops to put your stuff instead of just plain white.
Yeah. I'm definitely not a huge fan of the white background, but like you gotta do the best you can. I certainly, when I started my business, you should see the extent you should see some of the images that I posted. They were horrible. So, okay. And number 3 is a complicated checkout process. And I'm going to also just quickly mention too, like poor descriptions. I think that's a really important one, but I can't give 3 tips and not talk about a poor checkout experience because this is what will actually get people to like jump ship. Is your checkout experience. You're making it too hard for people to buy from you. Like the number one rule in your website is how can I make it so seamless for someone to buy from me? Any extra complications, you've lost people. The average conversion rate is 2%. Okay. So if you're working your ass off to get all these people from Instagram, you're doing lives, you're doing Pinterest, you're only going to convert 2% of people on average. So that you can imagine how many people already aren't going to buy from you. You want to maximize that window of people that actually are going to whip out their credit card or PayPal and pay you. So what I see as mistakes a lot of times on websites are things like and this is also like custom work, but I have to mention it. You're asking people too many questions. Like, what size shirt are you? When's your birthday? How old are you? What gender are you? Do you have a dog? Like I literally see the amount of dumb questions that people put in before they check out of a website. And again, this is a lot.
I know it's not to interrupt you, but
No,
why?
no, that's
I
fine.
know that's pretty much when if it's more than one of those questions, that's when I
Yeah, like you can't, like, why are you annoying people? Let them buy from you and then friggin' ask them, pepper them with questions. But like, get people in and out of your store in like 3 clicks. That's why Amazon does well. Like, if you think of Amazon, they make it idiot proof for people to buy. It's like, oop, add to my cart, click, click, done.
yeah.
It's so easy. And like, when people don't have a store that's that easy, you're going to lose business. So, unnecessary questions, number one. Number two, you require people to create an account with you. Like, oh my gosh, don't do that. If you have a Shopify store, I get very upset over this stuff because it's like you're losing so much money and I want you guys to make a lot of money. So in Shopify, if you have a Shopify store, they have things in your settings where you can make setting up an account optional. I still see a lot of people that make it required and then people have to create, like, you know what it's like. The second you have to create an account, you're like, I'm done. I'm too bored. I want to go back to watching Stranger Things or start drinking my wine or something. Don't make it required for people to buy from you. What else do people do in the checkout process? Just like poor like visuals. I think a lot of times on your checkout page, it just looks really like untrustworthy and you're just like, who am I buying from? So I would say those things are two. And then I have to also talk about shipping just briefly, but I'm going to clump shipping into the checkout process because it happens at checkout. So if someone's trying to buy like a shirt from you or like a sweatshirt from you or a candle and it's like $10 or $20 and they go to check out and the shipping is like $10, they're probably not going to buy from you. So unexpected shipping charges is the number one reason why people abandon their shopping cart. So what you really want to think about is, can I create a flat rate fee like $4.99? And this is for things maybe under like a pound or something. I don't know. So like you have to kind of understand what's the average amount that people are spending. Are they buying like 5 sweatshirts? Are they buying 1 sweatshirt? Like you kind of have to know some of this information. But if your shipping charges for something like a sweatshirt, a candle, a book are like $10, you are losing like, I'm going to guess you're losing 99% of your sales from that one little mistake. Bake shipping costs into your pricing. You know what I mean? I know with retail, it might be tricky. Like maybe you have to have things be the same price, but like if you have a sweatshirt that's $20 and you're trying to charge someone $10 for shipping, bake $5 of that shipping cost into your product price and then charge them $5. You will get people to buy from you if it's like $4.99 for shipping. Some people still will not buy from you. Shipping is a very touchy subject. Um, so you can bake some of that cost into your product price. And people would rather spend like $40 for a sweatshirt with free shipping than $30 for the sweatshirt and $10 for shipping. 100%. Like pricing psychology is real and you have to be aware of your shipping charges. So anyone listening, please, if you take anything away from here, go and look at what are you charging for your customers? Like if they're buying one thing from you, are you charging them $8.99? Just don't. You have to.
I think also because people, I mean, yes, it's another avenue of revenue because you can make money on shipping and it's like
Mhm.
bake it into your product and make it look like for me, it's like, honestly, like if it's Apple Pay and it's a 1 click or PayPal, a 1 click, I swear to God, I will buy it that way. Once I hate to say that I'm that lazy, but once I have to start putting all of my information in,
Obnoxious.
I literally I've left more carts like that. And then I'll get
Mhm.
emails like, hey, we realized your cart's left. You just still want, it's like, no, because I don't want to. And it's like, it's dumb because it takes 2-3 minutes, but I know for sure that's what, if it's not Apple Pay and it's not PayPal and I don't have the patience at that moment, I will literally just abort the whole thing. I'm like, fuck,
Yep. Yeah,
like,
yeah. And payment processors is another big one that I didn't mention is like a lot of people are funny. I mean, not a lot of people. People are funny about PayPal. Like they have too many fees. Da, 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 da. PayPal, like guarantee you, if you do not have PayPal as one of your payment processors, I want you to just do a test. I want you to look at your conversion rate up until like look at the last month of your or even like a week of your conversion rate and then add PayPal and then look at like the next week or month or whatever and like I I will bet you any amount of money that your conversion rate will increase the second you add PayPal cuz just like what you just said, if you don't make it easy for someone to buy from you, or sorry, if the store doesn't make it easy for you to buy, you may not buy because you don't feel like plugging in the information. I am the exact same way. Like if I have to plug in information, I'm like, ugh, I'm annoyed and I just leave it.
Mhm.
Part of it is because I teach e-commerce and I teach people how to sell with ease, but also because we have grown to be very lazy and it's not really our fault. I think it's just because everything is so easy now. Like, oh, you want to watch a movie on Netflix? Cool. Click, click, click. I can watch it. Where 10, 15 years ago, we would have had to go to the Blockbuster video store
It's
and rent
all
a
instant
movie.
gratification.
Yeah. So everything is making us lazier and lazier, but like you need to be aware of that with your online store. How slow is your website? You know, how long does it take for your pages to load? People don't have patience for that. You know, if you're trying to make people plug in all this information at the checkout page and you don't have PayPal, you have to make someone get a credit card. God forbid you make someone get up off their couch while they're watching Stranger Things in their wine.
I'm like, if I'm sitting in here and I have to go
Yeah.
up to where my purse is, I'm like, forget
Yeah, it's just like, but like that's the kind of level
it. Oh
of
my God.
you have to be aware of that when you have a website. Like you have to be uber aware that if you make someone get off of their couch and go to get a credit card, they're not going to buy from you. You know, I
I
mean, they
think
might, but
I think that point, just seriously, like that point, I don't think anybody thinks about is that how lazy people are, myself
totally.
included. And I really don't even
Yep.
think that's part of your equation when you're thinking about when you're setting this up is like, it's literally gets down to making Susie get off her ass off the sofa and go get her purse and put her information. I mean, I don't really think anybody thinks about that. Like that was
No, they
literally
don't.
like the light bulb moment. I know I say it because I just want to hit Apple and be done with it. And they put all the shipping information in,
Yep.
but that mentality of I have to get up, which is
Yeah.
so absurd when you think
It
about.
is. And I tell this story on my podcast sometimes, but it's like one of my favorite stories. But I was on the Peloton, so I'm doing a bike ride and then I'm like, "Oh, I want to," and I'm like a hot sauce freak, like I love hot sauce and I was like, "I need to order a hot sauce subscription box because I ran out." So I went on my phone as I'm doing the Peloton, which is weird. And I went to what is it called? I forget the brand name. They have a hot sauce subscription. It's like the most popular one. They're based in I think like LA or San Diego. And I went to order it and they didn't have PayPal. And I was like, well, I'm not getting off the Peloton, unclipping my shoes. I mean, God forbid, that's really like a pain. And I'm not going to go up and do that to get my credit card. So I was like, oh, whatever, I'll do it later. And guess what?
Never did.
When you make someone do it later, it doesn't get done ever. However, the next day I was doing something and I got a text from them. Oh, you left your hot sauce in the cart. Here's $10 to, towards your order or something. And I was like, ooh, cool. And at that point I had my credit card and I was like, okay, I'm going to buy it. So I was very happy
That worked
because
out.
I wasn't I wasn't happy about that, but I was happy because of their marketing. Like I love being sold to. I really do because I'm like, you're a hustler. I love it. I appreciate it. But I was happy because they had a really great abandoned cart process where they marketed me via SMS, text message, and they got me to buy it. So I was like, I just love that. I appreciate that. I will buy from you. Like,
So that's
so
another thing people should be putting in is an abandoned cart
oh
response.
my gosh. Oh my gosh. I feel like we could do a whole podcast on the power of email marketing. It's like the the possibilities are endless here. Yes. Abandoned cart, abandoned checkout, whatever. If you have Shopify, you can go into your settings and you can click something, it'll say make sure the abandoned cart emails are sent out and you can send one email from Shopify. I like to send mine 1 hour after someone abandons their checkout. Shopify recommends 10 hours, but 1 hour works well for my clients. And then through your email marketing platform, if you're using email marketing, which I hope you are, most of the platforms will offer that. So I like Klaviyo. That's my favorite for the product world. And they have very robust uh, abandoned cart sequences that you can send out. And you can also do SMS sequences too. So they'll get like a series of text messages, and text messaging. I haven't personally used it. I want to for my clients, but it's supposed to convert much higher. Just like I told you with my hot sauce story, if you're getting someone on their phone, like people's phones are like their lifeline now. If you can get someone's number and get them to put in their number, you can target them. So yeah, abandoned checkout is like, it's amazing.
So really quickly, because I've had you for almost an hour, touch on email marketing. And I know you can't really touch on that quickly, but
I think the biggest thing with email marketing is like, I think it's just one simple tip, and that is it's a mindset tip actually. It's not even about email marketing, is that you own your email lists. And this is a really important and sort of like the crux of everything I teach people is like with organic marketing, like one, you can do things that get you more traffic over time, like SEO and that kind of stuff. But with email marketing, like you own your email list, you don't own social media. You can have 1 million Instagram followers and your account could be taken down tomorrow. How will you still sell to your people? And that is the power of email marketing. So even if you take nothing else away from this, just know that email marketing, like you own your email list. And so if anything ever gets taken down, or your Instagram gets taken down, or your Facebook ads get hacked and your account closes, you have your email list to sell to. And email marketing has one of the highest return on investments out of any marketing. There's all sorts of stats out there. Like for every person on your email list, like you get this much money back. Or every like for every dollar you spend on email marketing, you get like this much X in return or something. I forget the actual statistic, but it's very powerful. But the biggest thing is like you own your email list. I've had clients who had 20,000 Instagram followers. Their account was taken down for some silly reason, but because they have email set up, they have Pinterest, they have other places, they still have a place to get customers. So
yeah, I think a lot of people don't like getting your Instagram taken down. I don't even think that is a thought process. Like I
mhm.
forget who I watched go through, and like she had
Yeah.
other platforms and she was like, guys, I've got it taken down, I'm so sorry, but like you could just see the complete chaos and panic of, and it's like to get that back up, if you get it back up, like I've talked to people that never, it was taken down and they never got it back, and it's like
Yep.
you're fucked at that point. Like you literally are like,
Especially if that's like, cause I know, and I really like, and I mean this in the nicest way possible, but like, I really like dig deep with this and with my students is like, you have to have other ways of getting customers outside of Instagram. I know Instagram is like the platform, everyone's obsessed with it. And I like it, like, I like it too for some reasons. I love stories and all that. But with Instagram, like you have to get over Instagram and do things that will set your business up for long-term success, like your email list, like creating blog content that will show up on Google. So those are things that I'm very passionate about because I've seen people's Instagram accounts get taken down and their business is, they have no business because they have spent 2 years putting all their eggs into one basket, and then that basket is taken away and they have nothing. And like for me, that's like a devastating thing for me to hear for people because I know how much work they have put into that 2 years. They've put their whole life into it, and then it's kind of just they have to start over again, and it doesn't have to be like that.
so what
So
are your thoughts? I'm going to ask you your favorite platforms, and what in the same breath is what are your thoughts on Facebook
Mhm.
and TikTok?
So did you say the first thing was what are my favorite platforms?
Yeah. I mean, I just named half of them, but do you have
Um,
ones that you love and prefer over
like social media platforms? Is that what
selling
you mean?
platforms or social media
Oh,
platforms that will create sales?
I mean, Shopify, I don't know if you mean Shopify, but like Shopify, I am like team Shopify, 100%. I love Shopify so much. For social media, I don't know anymore. Oh my God. It used to be Instagram for me because the reason I like Instagram is because it is customer centric. Like you can actually connect with your customers. You can have conversations with your customers on that platform. You can see photos of yours being tagged, stories, like it is a tool that you can sell, but for me, Instagram, like that, I grew my Instagram account from my first business to 42,000 followers in like 2.5 years. It was my little like community of just, it was like this little community. And I really like connected with my customers and got to know why people liked the brand, the product, da, 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 da. So for me, I always have like a special place in my heart for Instagram because that's really the first channel that I used to get some success with my business. But then of course I like did other things. So Instagram, I think because you can connect with your customers, and I don't see any other platform that you can literally, someone can tag you in a post and be like, "Oh my gosh, like look at this new jacket I just bought from the shop." You can literally see that and then message them and say, "Oh my gosh, like thank you so much. I'm so glad you bought from us. Make sure that you're on our email list, or like here's a coupon for another purchase. And also like why did you buy from us and not Susan's shop? Like we'd really love to know." You can start conversations with people. The second you start conversations with your customers, that's how you get them to come back to you, because most businesses don't take the time to start conversations with their customers. So for that, it's still Instagram, even though I am like biting my tongue because
Mm.
I don't love Instagram. But honestly, I think the future is TikTok right now. And I
Just
can't even
gonna
believe I'm
ask,
saying
the other question is like,
that.
because I think everyone relates it, not everyone, the like my generation and probably some older people, like some people like younger, like 40s, I think we all relate to it as, oh, you have to dance or you have
Yeah,
to,
yeah.
I don't think, I don't think people really think about how valuable it is for
Mhm.
marketing.
I mean, I'm like new on the TikTok wagon. I see the potential in TikTok. I have not had success with TikTok. I have seen other product businesses do very well without the dancing and all that. Um it it's taken me, like, I'm laughing because it's taken me a long time to like accept that I'm going to be doing TikTok videos, but like I will not do any of those like dancing things. That is not my jam. I won't do anything that like
The point,
feels, I mean, I think I've done some of those, but those are more like on Instagram, I think, for reels. But like I've just gotten to the point where like I'm not going to do something just because I think it's going to get me views. I only do things if I think it's going to help people, or it's like an important message that I kind of want to like portray, or I'm trying to educate people. But I think with TikTok, just like any other video platform, is like the ability to showcase your and especially too for like retailers. I actually think TikTok is perfect for retailers because you can literally take someone on the journey of your store. Like, here's how this is. Like, look at this new product you can wear with these boots and this shirt. And like, I think you really have a strong way to connect with people through video actually. But I do think it's like a learning curve, especially if you haven't used it before. And especially if like pretty much like what you said, like your reaction is like how a lot of people feel about TikTok. They're like, oh shit, I don't want to do any of that crap.
oh,
And also TikTok is weird. Like I haven't spent a lot of time on it. Honestly, I do not scroll through. I'm very like, I log in, I upload my video and I get the heck out. But like TikTok is a weird platform. Like, I don't know if you've been on there and watched some of the weird videos.
it
It's like
is,
as if like an 18-year-old has nothing else to do except like hold up the phone and say something dumb and then they have like 5 million likes. It's like,
thank
what?
you. Yeah, I don't, I'm doing it. I figured out what for me, I don't have a lot of followers, but I figured out for me, like my favorite part is where I have videoed something and the voice overlay, like
Yeah.
where, here's my tip of the day, blah, 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 blah. Like that,
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, that works for me. But the
Yeah.
dancing and even the pointing thing, I can't do any of that. It's like not only that, it's all the timing. It's like I have no timing, no sense of time. So, but I
Yeah.
have figured out that is for me as someone that's educating retailers how to do merchandising this way, that's like, okay. And there's a couple people that I follow that are brilliant at it. Like one, she's a retailer, and it's like, I wish I had her name in front of me. She's a retailer and she is coaching retailers, and she'll do like 20-second, like one of them she did was, how do you get into the Atlanta gift show? And she just goes through, which seems to me, it's one of those things where I think we overthink it. To me, it's like, who the fuck doesn't know how to get into the Atlanta gift show? But I
Oh
realize
yeah.
there's a whole lot of, so it's like, you
Yeah.
bring a resale permit, you bring 2 invoices, you bring an ID, and
Mhm.
that was her post. And she got
Yeah.
like 1 million. It's like, where to stay in Atlanta for the gift show.
Yep.
22nd, here's my suggestions. Go on the America's Mart site. I was like, oh my, it was like, for me, that was the light bulb. I'm like, oh my God, I'm overthinking this. This is like
Yeah.
what, so, I
We
think,
assume that we assume everyone knows what we know, but they don't. Yeah.
exactly. And
I
I
do too.
think, that's the same thing when it gets to retailers or anybody, e-commerce, by putting your item, you're assuming that the person knows what it smells like, what it's going to look like. So your
Mhm.
definition of like really diving deep into who's wearing it, where are they living, what are they doing with it, what I mean, like,
Yeah.
I think that's for me the biggest takeaway for retailers. And if you have a product based company, it's like, really think about like who's using it and really get the storytelling aspect of it.
Yeah. And I think too, like for a retailer as well, like you can also utilize your area of your like where your shop is, because people that come into your people that are in your town or your, your city center, whatever, maybe there's like other shops nearby that they also that might kind of grab their attention on a TikTok video. And then they're like, oh, well, I live in Seattle. I live in Queen Anne. I can go to this shop too. So I don't know. It's just an idea. But I always think with like physical stores, kind of leveraging your surrounding areas. And like if you have a store in, let's say, I'm not going to freaking say, I almost just said Nashville. I don't know what is wrong with me today. You have a physical store in Pacific Beach in San Diego. So you could literally take your phone and like, do the 5 best taco spots on Pacific Beach or something. Like it doesn't have to always be about your store,
You're
just like
promoting another business as well.
yeah, but you're also promoting things in the area that people like that might catch someone's interest. And then they're like, oh, well, I actually want to go to that. Your store looks freaking awesome. I want to go there too. That happens to me all the time when I travel. I'll look up coffee shops, go into Instagram and I'm looking up coffee shops. And then I start to discover other shops in the area and then I go to the shop. So it's the coffee that I was looking for, but then I discovered the shop in between. So
That's a great, that's, when we were, another person from UPP was Women Own Wallet, and how she created that tour of downtown, is it NOLA in Kentucky or
oh, no, I
Tennessee?
didn't know.
She created, she's doing both. She's bringing people to the area and she's
Mhm.
promoting other women owned businesses, and they've all kind of band together. And it's like, she's created a tour of all these amazing female owned businesses all in this
Oh, I
neighborhood.
love that.
It's not only promoting her and it's bringing people to the area and showing them all these
Yeah,
amazing businesses, which, I always say there's enough room at the table for everyone. It's like, yes, it's
totally.
okay to promote your neighbors, even if you all sell clothes, like,
Yeah.
you're, the whole idea is bringing dollars into your area and customers
Yeah.
into your store.
Because if you go if you're like linked with other boutiques, you're not just it's like eating chips. You don't just have one. You go to one and then you're gonna go to the next one and the next one and the next one. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So I think I totally agree. Like there's enough room for everyone. And I do think if you're a location based business, bringing in your actual, like not your store, but the actual town, city, like what else does the city have to offer? I think that's a really no brainer way of driving traffic. And also, too, I know that we're probably over time, like you said, but I have to mention one more thing, just since we're talking about marketing. Um, Make sure that you have Google My Business set up because how people find and discover stores in person is they open up their phone and they go to like Google Maps on their phone and they type in coffee shop, boutique, gift shop, whatever. That's how a lot of people are discovering stores when they travel. And if your store isn't on Google My Business or you don't have a good listing with that's optimized with keywords, then your store doesn't show up. So this is like another local business tip. I give this tip to like all my local people in Washington. Whenever I go to their store, I'm like, by the way, you should add this because it wasn't listed. And they're always like, oh my gosh, like I didn't know that. Thank you so much. So
Elisa, I had
little tip.
Elisa, my digital marketing manager, I had her on one of, we did a Q&A. She asked me questions I didn't know about. I asked her questions. And that
Mhm.
was one of the things she had talked about, was like that, how
Okay.
that is, and
Yes.
un, how, how unrealized that it exists and that you need to do it.
Yes. Yes. And also too, if you have like, if you're getting people that visit your store, tell them, because the more reviews you have on that Google My Business, like number one, it's going to get people to go to your store, but like, I think it helps you show up more too. So, but you can tell your customers, hey, if you love this, loved our shop, go to the Google listing, and like drop a review for me, and we'll give you a $5 coupon for your next visit. I mean, it doesn't take you a lot of time, but reviews are everything because reviews are social proof. So,
Okay, I'm going to ask you two last questions.
okay.
One
I love
is,
it.
you work a lot and you obviously have a lot of coaching and you're creating courses and you have a podcast. What do you do for balance, and how do you, well, two things. How do you stay inspired? And how do you find balance to calm down when it's like everything's going all the time? We talked about this earlier, but like,
Yeah. Um, Sorry, what was the first question?
how do you find inspiration and balance?
I think for me, inspiration is getting like feedback from my students or my clients or people that listen to the podcast. I think this may not be the answer that you probably would expect, but um I oftentimes like I have my bad days too, and I'm like, I don't know if my business is helping people. I don't know if I'm making impact. Like, the days where you just like, my business is terrible. I'm awful. I only got this many podcast downloads. But then it's always at those times, it happens like very serendipitously. Whenever I'm in that moment or day, I get a message from someone and they're like, I just wanted to let you know, the podcast episode that you put out last week about this, like this really helped me for this, and this reason. And I just want to let you know, like, I listen to all your episodes and I just love your podcast. Like you're super funny and all that. So it's like when I get messages like that, they just like make my whole world, because obviously you know how it is with the podcast and you have like all the stuff you do to help people. Quite often, like you just forget that you're helping people. And so for me, I like will take screenshots of those and put them in like a folder on my phone, and I'll go and look at that because that reminds me every day that like I am helping people and I am having some impact on people, even though I don't always know about it. So I would say that's some inspiration for me. And just like listening to other people's, like going to UPP, for example, like seeing other people's journeys and looking at how far along in businesses other people are. For me, that's always inspiring. So I'm always like listening to other people's podcasts. I'm always in educational groups where I can learn more from other people that are doing better than I am. So for me, that's how I stay inspired. Two, how do I have balance? Oh gosh, that's not a good word for me. I am trying. I'm trying. I mean, he just turned 7 years old son. And I think for his first 6 years of life, I've just worked myself into like the ground, honestly, because I started my first business when he was 6 months old. Um, and so I really did not have balance for the first 5 years of his life, really, which is really sad. So I think for now, I really am actively working on outsourcing more. And this is I would say the last 6 months is the first time in my business where I've ever had some like modicum of balance. Fridays is like my podcast day. Mondays is like my CEO day. So I don't do anything with clients or calls or meetings or anything. It's like my time, and if I want to work, I will. If I don't, I won't. And that's also fine. But I think outsourcing, having people on your team is the only way to have balance because you can't do everything on your own. So for me, I think it's like outsourcing, but also trusting that like they can do things for you. You don't have to do everything your own. And also, like we talked about earlier, like letting go of the perfectionism stuff. Like nothing has to be perfect. If you show up on video and your hair looks messy, like people don't care. If you want to like launch a product on your website, but your product photos may not be amazing, like as long as they're good enough, that's okay. Like people don't care, you know? So I think that's sort of how I find balance. But I think I've only, to be honest with you, and I'm just going to be honest, I think I did not have balance until like 6 months ago. And
Oh,
my journey is still like, I am not anywhere near where I need to be, but I definitely am on track to have balance in my life and just like taking vacation. Like I'm going to Alaska in 2 weeks and I will not do any work under any circumstance.
good. That
So
is
like,
excellent.
but that's like my steps towards having balance because I know for me, I need to take like a mental break and it's okay. Like your business is not going to fall apart if you take a vacation, you know, but if you're checking your email on your vacations and like, you know, you need to give your brain a break. So, and I have a hard time not working because I love working, but I think it's important to like try not to work all the time. So, I don't know.
That was amazing advice. Thank you so much. Because seriously, like I forget who it was that was speaking that said, in other countries, it's very normal to take a month of vacation. And one of her
Oh, yeah.
suppliers was like, well, we're gonna, I'll see you in September. And she's like, what are you talking about? And it's like, we closed down. We're all going on vacation. He's like, don't you do that? And she's like, no, but now she does it. And I
Oh,
think
wow.
that a lot, like you said, like your business is not going to end if there are people in place that you put in place that take care of your business that are fully capable. And
Yeah.
it's like you have to let go of the reins and you have to go
Mhm.
also for your own mental status, but to go out to get re-inspired because you're relaxed, because you've had time off, you've had a chance to step away from staring at the same thing week after week. It's like you went out and
Yeah.
had dinner and drank rosé on, the beach every day for a week, like whatever it is.
Yeah. No, and I think like just one more quick thing that I have done just this past year is like I thought about what is like how I'd like to spend free time and like where do I get my creative energy for my business? And for me is my dog walking. And so I like live for walking my dogs. I love it so much. And so I actually have that scheduled into my calendar. Like my dog walks is part of my workday. I don't consider dog walking as separate. Like that is part of that's my job is I'm going to walk my dogs because when I walk my dogs is when I get my very best business ideas. I get my best content ideas. Almost every single day I step out and I walk around and the ideas flow into my brain. So it's like, why would I not be doing more of that? So doing what like that's probably answers your inspired question too, honestly. But yeah, so I don't treat that as like something different. It's not a hobby, it's like part of my workday. And that has been, I think for me, a massive game changer for like my efforts and having better self-care. I'm like, what is self-care? I don't even know what that is. Better self-care, but also just like better, like that's where I get really good business ideas. So I do more of that. So
That's amazing. I need to take more advantage of that. My dogs will all equally say yes. We're horrible about that. Thank you so
yeah.
much for your time. Tell people where they can find you, and we will make sure we link the links in the bio or in the show notes.
Show notes. Yeah, it's okay. You can go, I'm on, my website is kerrifitzgerald.com. And my name is spelled Kerrie. I know it's like always, everyone always thinks my name is Kerri. And then you can find me on Instagram, kerri.a.fitzgerald. And yeah, pretty much the same on all the different platforms. TikTok is e-commerce business ninja, I think it's called. I don't even know what my TikTok name is. People always ask me, what's your TikTok name? I'm like, I have no idea. I don't even know how to like share the profile. But yeah, any questions, you guys can reach out. And I have a ton of resources, tips, trainings. I have a YouTube channel. I have a podcast. So if you have any questions on especially anything e-commerce, marketing, I probably have something for you. So please
And
reach out.
podcast is again,
Sorry.
your podcast again.
The Six Figure Product Business Podcast.
Thank you so much for your time. I'm
Thank you so
so
much.
enjoyed talking to you. And I know so many people have so much to take away from this.
Oh, thank you so much. It was really, really fun.
Thank you.